Hey everyone, how's it going? We are back, bitches.
Without a hitch.
Thank you.
Guess
Thank you.
who's back?
Guess who's
Back
back?
again. Rudy's back.
SPSM chat. It's more than a name. It's
Tell
an
a
attitude.
friend.
Yeah. So I have my work cut out for me, but before we get into complete shenanigans, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's shown their support about our return. I'm gonna go on as host. These lovely people that I'm gonna bring on, my past co-host. We're gonna have SPSM chat the way God intended it. They're gonna go on to their separate ways after this, but you will see them return from time to time, and we'll have on a whole coterie of new faces. But before we get into all of that goodness, I just want to say hello. How are you doing? This episode is called do 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 do. Back on our bullshit. Thank you to Joelle Marie for coming up with that title. Very well said. I appreciate that. And so I am Rudy Caseres. And for those who don't know, first off, shame on you. And secondly, I totally understand. But I hosted SPSM chat from like summer of 2019 all the way up until summer of 2020. And so I'm back. Shout out to Ashley J, who took over the reins for that time and did a great job. But she's celebrating her honeymoon right now. So give a applause for yeah. So she's doing great things, and I wanted to make sure that this show lived on. And so here we are. Yes. And so here we are, and I'm glad to be back. I mean, to be honest, like I need this. I thought I had an SPSM like that size, that logo right there. That was like the size of the hole in my heart while I was gone, and so I couldn't fight it anymore. And now I'm back. But you don't hear from just me. We got the whole gang back together for 1 week, and so without further ado, let's go on to our first co-host, panelist. Tell the whole world again, for those who may have forgotten, shame on them, just who exactly is Joelle Marie?
You knew he was going to do me first. Hi, my name is Joelle Marie. I am a peer specialist and I guess an advocate. I don't know, like I advocate for a lot of things, kind of through the lens of, my own lived experience of having OCD and being autistic. And also in terms of accessibility, which is why we're really trying to do the captions right now. And if anyone has anything to contribute in terms of ideas, please let us know, because we really want to get those going. But yeah, so I am a peer specialist, and basically I use my crappy experience in the mental health system to help other people not have a crappy experience in the mental health system. I've worked in Massachusetts, in California, and now in Colorado doing those things. Yeah. And pretty much everything I do is through that lens. Hi.
Hi, Joelle. And we'll circle back to you, of course, but let's go on to our next co-host, who is came on by the seat of his pants, Hudson Harris. Reintroduce yourselves for those who may have not known. I guess they might already know you because you were on the last episode of the previous iteration, like you were on the last episode of the April Foreman edition. So, and on the last episode of our edition, of course. So, you've got quite the track record.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a pattern. But it's good. It's really exciting. I just want to call out that we have closed captions. That was something that like we had worked on during our season, and the fact that it's there is really freaking cool. So yes, I came in by the seat of my pants. Spring break has sprung with my children, and had them out at the beach today for a long time so that they would be catatonic on the couch, which they are. So my name is Hudson Harris. I live in sunny San Diego with my two sons and my bulldog Penny, who will make an appearance later. And I work in population health, specifically behavioral health, population health. And I've spent the past year working for San Diego County as a population health strategist dealing with all kinds of things in the space of how we're dealing with mental health and behavioral health issues during COVID. And then I've also working with some other clients and stuff all over. But I help people design better systems of care because a lot of our systems of care suck.
Yes. And just to be clear, you are a beautiful man.
Oh, why, thank you, Rudy.
And now let's go on to our last panelist for today. Tell the whole world, hey, thanks, Joelle Marie, for sharing back to our bullshit, who is Marie Shanley.
Hi, everyone. It's Marie or Mxiety. I am a mental health talk show host and advocate, Twitch partner and stuff. My background is in, I'm a medical editorial program manager. So that's how I know how to distill complicated conversations into bite-sized, easy to manage discussions. And I am here. Oh, by the way, Rudy, I'm going to call you Ruti from now on because that's how you introduced yourself. So from now on, your name is congratulations. Other than that, I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to hang out with my friends again. And I missed all of you. So, Hi.
And speaking of Twitch, we're on Twitch for not for the first time. We actually I found that SPSM chat did have a Twitch channel. This hasn't streamed in like almost 3 years. So we are on for the first time twitch.tv/SPSM chat. Please go make sure to watch it. If you are watching it, like I am on one of my computers, make sure to host us as well. Give us a follow, do chat things. You can actually control my lights in the Twitch chat. So if you do commands like !flash, it'll make the lights flash. You can also do a command for like blue or green or RGB and do all kinds of fun things. And if you follow us on Twitch, it does colors as well. The same thing with Facebook. If you share it as well, like it. And if you follow us on YouTube. So lots of different ways you can get your fix. We are, of course, also on the twitter.com/SPSM chat. Make sure if you're hanging out in the Twitter chat to come say hi and to make sure to use the hashtag SPSM. I got the Twitter into in a window to my side. So as tweets are coming in, I will make sure to give you shout outs. So do the right thing and let's talk about some suicide. And
I have 2 points of order. I have to interrupt you.
Sure.
Okay, good. First off, Mxiety, you forgot author on your list of amazing accomplishments.
Yeah, do I have to pull your book out from behind my
bookcase?
Right,
so if you want to check out her amazing book and her absolutely dope chat server, you should. My other point of order is that this is the other co-host of the evening. This is Squishy Dog Penelope Von Wrinkles. And she says hello to everybody.
So cute.
She's very tired and needs napping, but she wanted to come and say, oh, thank you. She wanted to come and say hello. And she wanted to talk about Mxiety's book.
Oh my God, stop. Fam. Okay, why is nobody focused on the fact that Rudy introduced himself Ruti? Because I'm going to pronounce it Rudy. Ruti.
I definitely heard that.
When I get nervous, I get that mid-Atlantic accent. So it's from my theater background.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Okay, so let's get into the swing of things. I see you, Sarah Schuster, who loves Joelle's beautiful background singing. So she's a trained singer, by the way. Okay, she's like, I am by no means a singer, so she's got the chops in the family.
Yeah, we're buffering a little bit,
Okay, well then let's not waste any time then. So for those who are just joining us, and wondering like what's going on, we are back on our bullshit. Sorry, Marie, for covering you. So our topic this week, we're gonna play it a little bit looser than weeks past, where we have like the whole
M's a wiener.
4 questions like scenario thing. So I want to catch up all of you. We actually didn't even get a chance to really talk that much during like the little pre-show thing because we were all like trying to hop on. And so I want to go back one by one to Joelle, then Hudson, then Marie. Just kind of catch up what you've been doing the past year and let us know what you got on now. So I'll just let you go, Joelle.
What have I been doing in the last year, and what am I up to now? That is the question. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Anime has had some beautiful outfits.
What?
I was saying anime has had some beautiful outfits. Is one of the things you've done in the past year.
Yeah. So I've dyed my dog several times. Bought her lots of clothes.
Dyed with.
And we moved from LA to Colorado. To the entire state of Colorado, and we moved from LA to Denver in a little two-door sports car. We drove the whole way with me and Rudy and Anime. So that was pretty cool. So now I work in Colorado as part of the Colorado Crisis System, and I am part of the little baby bird new peer specialists in Colorado, and I'm very, very happy about that because it's like exactly what I want to be doing, and we're really definitely part of supporting people who are in pretty big distress, or sometimes just like a little bit distress, but they, part of our I guess ideology is people define when they're in crisis and they define what they need. And it's super important. And where I work, we can do our things as peer specialists. Like we can do the things that we need to do and what we're meant to do, and we can really stay aligned with our ethics. And it's really cool. Like I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it. So it's where I want to be. So
yeah, and I've of course have gotten to see this evolution of you and thriving. For those who don't know, Joelle is my wife, so we are together. It's been cool seeing you really be in your element, because when we were in Los Angeles, there wasn't a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of frustration, a lot of dead ends, a lot of empty promises. And so here you are in Colorado doing great things. We got our dog. We've got our bigger home. We've got a lot more opportunities. And I love it here. Like, I'm really glad that I made this decision. And just like we get to go from like me being in the kitchen when streaming and you're in the bedroom to like both having our own offices. And so like it's just been a great past year in some ways. Of course, obviously there's a thing called the COVID-19 pandemic, systemic injustice and racism, and our nation almost crumbling, people invading the Capitol, all that stuff. So besides all of that, I say we've done pretty well.
2020.
Yeah. 2021. It's not looking promising either, but we're baby steps. We're getting there. I have high hopes for the second half. So like once we're all vaccinated and we can do more things, I can come back and hound Hudson. He can cook me some barbecue, and we can not give each other COVID.
Mm-hmm. I like that plan.
That's the best part.
Yes, and we're for that ass too, Marie Shanley. Okay, so like, just don't think that this pandemic is put us on the kibosh completely. We're gonna make our way to whatever state you live in.
You heard Christmas party, remember?
Yes, I haven't forgot that either.
Wait, which one? You broke up for me.
Your Christmas party.
Christmas party? Do I host Christmas parties? Is that a thing?
You were supposed to.
Like 2 or 3 years ago. There was like pictures and you were dressed up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Are you sure you don't mean Halloween party? Because like our Halloween parties are pretty famous. I don't know about Christmas.
Yeah, it was Halloween.
Okay, that makes more sense. That's why I'm confused. Okay, anyway, so tell us what you've been doing for the past year, Hudson.
Before we get to Hudson, I did want to make sure. Sorry, I did want to make sure I give some quick shout outs to the people in the chat, because I just realized we have like a bunch of people chatting. So one second, Hudson, we will give you all the time that you deserve. Okay.
Twitter now?
Yes. So hello, Laz, and hello, Mxiety on Twitch. How are you? Says Hiwu. I appreciate that as well. up for the challenge, who is going to be a future panelist for weeks to come, I am assured, is saying hello as well. He's coming all the way from the UK, I believe. And so, and also too, like if you just want to just leave us in the background as well and come back later, that's totally fine. Kevix Marks, thank you so much for making my lights flash. I appreciate that. Up for the challenge says, can we intro M as Wiener 2? You'll have to talk to her about that. And Ali Kafka on YouTube, I appreciate that. Let me get this more closer. Says, would love to hear the conversation steer towards suicide. It's 9:50. Oh, she wants us to get to the point. Okay, hold on, Ali. We'll get there.
Luck.
Yeah, but
yeah.
But just know, Ali, that this is going to be available after the fact, where you can jump around. We're a little bit more irreverent than other iterations of SPSM chat, but we're all smart. Trust me, especially Hudson. Speaking of Hudson, Hudson, catch us up on what you've been doing up to the past year.
Yeah. So most of my time over the past year professionally has been with San Diego County at Behavioral Health Services. Helped bring mobile crisis to San Diego, which is super fucking exciting. We're looking at a regional mobile crisis with evidence-based care where you're working on building behavioral health hubs. It's been pretty awesome. And then got to pitch in on some COVID-related efforts as well. That was pretty exciting with San Diego County and with San Diego 211 at the beginning of the crisis. And so it's been wonderful. And then I've also started to work with Travis Atkinson out there at TBD Solutions, which has been also super fucking thrilling. And I also very excitedly joined the board of 6 Feet Over Suck at Suicide up in Michigan, which is pretty exciting, one of my favorite organizations. And then personally, it's been kind of a shit show. But like other than that, I learned how to surf and I got a dog and I moved. So it's been wonderful.
Awesome.
Except for that.
So I take it we're not going to have a piggy update then.
Yeah, we can have a piggy update. This new whiz-bang fancy thing, eCam.live, will let me share screen. And I have a picture of the now 170-pound Hamlet.
Okay.
Oh, chunky baby.
Yeah.
Is hold on, do I have to add that to the production? Are you showing it right now?
I am, but I'll come back to it later because I got to get the picture up. I was still trying to find it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me know because I think I have to add it to the screen. So
it shows up on my thing, but yeah.
Okay. So we'll circle back to that. And so I'm just glad that I get to see you again, because one of the sad things about the pandemic is that like you don't live too far away from me, but you used to not live far away from me, just like 2 hours away, and yet it's just too much of a risk. And we even had a close call. We tried to come see you, and so it was not meant to be. But once things start opening up, trust me, you will cook barbecue for us because you are amazing.
Why, thank you.
Yes, and thank you for all the work that you're doing. Let's go on to Marie. I think if people are already following you on Twitch or especially on Twitter as well, I think they already know what you've been up to, pretty much taking over the streaming world, making us all look like bitches. But go ahead, tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah, no, everybody knows. We're good. We can pass over me. I actually wanted to talk about the fact that Hamlet is doing well, which is awesome, and I'm very excited. Also, how could anybody compete with the amount of suicide prevention work Hudson is doing? That's amazing. That is awesome sauce. Not that it's it's not a competition. I made it sound like one. It's not. But we are. This part's weird. Do I have to talk about myself? Can we?
Yes, please.
A little bit.
Don't
Okay.
be shy.
Talk about yourself in third person.
Okay, that's weirder. But so since the last SPSM that I was on, I have moved, hence the other room that I am in, into like slightly different town, same state, Northeast. So other than that, I don't know if anybody heard, but Mixer completely shut down, which was our home base. It was SPSM. It's like slowpoke new, the slowpoke meme. But yeah,
It's
so
like how
it was
slow we're going on the video right now.
right. Yeah, so that happened. And that was the home of SPSM and Mxiety, and both of us had to find a new home. And since then, I've been partnered on Twitch and have been featured on the front page and stuff, and been partnered with some really, really amazing brands. And I'm really honored to have the opportunity to continue, helping the cause of mental health awareness and the stigma, and lifting the tides so that as many boats can come up with me as possible while we're going.
Yes. Okay. So I think we're all caught up. And as for me, oh my God, it's been since August of 2020. And to be honest, when the show had ended, I really didn't have a clear direction. I actually started a podcast for a nonprofit that I was working with, the Open Excellence Podcast. And it was a lot of work. I pretty much did all of the mixing and audio editing and all that. And I've never edited a podcast before in my life, booked all the guests, wrote the intro and outro and all that stuff. It was so much work, and it's just it went sour pretty quick, my relationship. And that when that foundered and I wasn't doing the podcast anymore, I was actually really depressed because I had I see all of my peers, they're doing things, and some of them are even traveling and getting to see friends and stuff. And I have friends that are public speaker friends that are doing virtual conference keynotes, and I just felt like I wasn't where I needed to be. And just feeling like I had no idea where I was going to go. Part of that was exciting because I always wanted to try do something on my own, do some kind of streaming show on my own channel. And my heart wasn't in it, and I had to really try to figure out what is my next step. Do I want to go it alone and just not feel satisfied, feel like something is missing? Or do I want to reconnect with my people and build a community again like we had when we were doing SPSM chat? And it just so happened that the opportunity to come back to SPSM chat arose. And so I jumped upon it, and here we are. I didn't waste any time. I think Ashley announced her departure last Sunday, and here we are. I was we got to get right back on the horse. And now that we're back, we're kind of have to feel find our groove again and experiment and kind of push ourselves forward. But I'm all for it. I love this challenge. I love doing this. I love getting to interview people, getting to have different people interact. Going forward in future weeks, it can be any three people in these quadrants. You never know. And so that to me is exciting, getting to bring on new people, making SPSM chat more diverse, more accessible, and just being the best damn streaming show possible. Because I feel all the stuff that I've learned, all the headaches that I've had to endure over the past several years of streaming, from the very early days of doing interview shows on Facebook, of super horrible quality, constant problems, having no clue what I was doing, to being able to amass all of this knowledge and all these skills and get to put them together and really build something that is really high quality and feels like a TV show. That's how I've always seen SPSM chat. That this is not just some web thing. This is not just a bunch of friends talking into their webcams. This has the very real potential to be a TV show. And so here we are, and let's get into our next topic, and that's to talk about things that have happened in our lives to make us basically something that happened in your life that changed your mind or made your views of suicide evolve. Oh, I see your screen. We'll add that, Hudson, later. Just pivotal moments in your life that really shaped your way of how you viewed suicide. Especially I want to hear from all of you and you out there in chat world and Twitter world and Twitch land. like, was there a time where your view of suicide was like misinformed, ignorant, or even something that you might even be ashamed with? That's let us know. We're not going to be judgmental right now because we have evolved. It's okay to acknowledge our past flaws. Because trust me, if you're public on the internet, someone will find out about it anyway. So let's go to Joelle.
Okay, just checking if I was on mute. There's like a lot of screens right now, and we're a little bit delayed. You know, I think for me, there's been a lot about just my personal life, even when I was little, like thinking about death, to be honest, and thinking about ways to escape. And some of those ways were dying, even when I was really, really little. So I think that there wasn't a lot in me, even from when I was very little, that said, like, no, people need to live no matter what. Like, that came from inside of me. Like, I don't believe that that was ever like an internal motivation to just keep people alive or keep their heart beating. I had a lot of death around me, just like through my life. Like, I remember going to my grandparents' funerals when I was younger, and it was just very natural to talk about when I was a child. So I think that just keeping people alive to just keep their heart beating is not something that I embrace, and I'm not sure it is something that I've ever really embraced. And I want to say, like, one of the big things that I remember in my life that really started to really solidify, like, people have a right to drive their own bus, even if it's into a wall, is seeing this like pretty iconic picture kind of in suicide prevention of somebody on a bridge, on the other side of a bridge, being held against the bridge to not jump by like belts and ropes, and like so many people, like all these people wanting to be involved in just keeping this person from jumping off the bridge. And the first time I saw that, and every time I see it, I'm like, but what happens next? Like, and what happened before? Yeah, so this person is like tied to a bridge basically to keep them from jumping, to make that choice. And then they're brought to the hospital, and then all these people get their picture taken, saving this person, and then like, what else? Don't know. So that has really stuck with me, and that it just keeps sticking with me. And every time I see it, when people are like, save people, like, be the person who saves people, I'm the person, like, that's not great. You're not the one person. Like, people have to have control over what happens to them. They have a right now and after they die, and that's just super important to me.
All right, what say you, Hudson? I guess we can put the question on here too. Sorry to cover your face. Go on.
Yeah, I would say my views are constantly changing. I think every time I get involved in a new suicide prevention project, or awareness, or have the opportunity to do something, it's really like humbling, and I'm just constantly reminded how little I know. I think that's something that like keeps me coming back. Like, the things that really drive me passionately, like in life, are the things where I can always learn more. And like my favorite hobbies of like woodworking and surfing, like instant battle of like learning more and more experience, and understanding more about what you're doing and how all these factors work. And like, I remember at my very first AAS, listening to Matt Nock from Harvard talk about suicide prevention using artificial intelligence. And he said, like, one of the most, and like, I doubt you're listening, but ever hear this, it's meant as a compliment, but one of like something that sounded so buzzworthy, but has stuck with me a lot, which was that suicide was a multivariate nonlinear algorithm, which just means we don't really know what it does or how it happens. It's just like a big knot. Yeah. And that's really stuck with me. And then every time I feel like I'm starting to like feel like I'm making a difference, or starting to feel like I'm making progress, I'll feel the opposite direction. The end of 2019, I lost 2 friends to suicide just before New Year's. And that was 2019 was my year of death, where I lost my nephew to cancer. My dog of 14 years was 3 weeks later. and 2 uncles, and then my 2 friends to suicide at the very end. And it was just like, holy fuck. Like one of the friends that I lost, David Marin, SPSM did a special on him. And I remember like talking to him just a few weeks prior. Like we did this whole big thing with the VA where he had just been appointed the deputy director of artificial intelligence at the VA. And we had like this summit on how to prevent suicides. And, I think that one hit really hard. I've talked about some of the other suicides that I've been adjacent to before, but that one was definitely one of the hardest ones. And I think my approach to suicide prevention has changed more and more. And like I always, a lot of times I think about knowledge, and when I teach is like, you have like a cup or a receptacle, and like you have to catch things to understand them. And the more I've been in suicide prevention, the more I've realized that it's like, I can't bend my arms this way, like the girl in the ring, but it's just this big open, like it's just entirely open. There's no holding or capturing any of the things that I think I know about suicide prevention. I just have to show up with my heart and my brain and do the best I can to let to enable myself to help the organizations that want me to help them, to help the people that need it, to support the people that have lived through it, and to really bring compassion and heart to people in their darkest hour for whatever they need or want, without, again, controlling, but really just like being. Yeah.
Okay, and then let's go to Marie, and then we'll circle back anything we covered. Just want to make sure that we get everyone to get into the meat and potatoes of their answer, and then we can kind of get into the nitty gritty, if you know what I mean. I
already choked up. We have more meat and potatoes to go.
I wish, but sorry. Go on, Marie.
No. I want Hudson to take that moment to deal with the emotions that came up. It's a lot.
No, that's totally fine.
So my exposure to suicide was, I was actually kind of ironically was recently talking about this with my partner, where the conversation went and like, what was the first time you learned that what suicide is? I was like, oh, well, we had went to my grandpa's grave, and I was like, why are some graves? So this was back when I lived in Russia. And I asked my mom, why are some of the graves like really, really, really far away, even though there's still clearly space around here? And she's like, oh, that's where people who decide to end their lives go. And I was like, why can't they be buried with everybody else? And she's like, well, because they're going to hell. And I was like, okay. And so that was my first experience with it. And that shaped how I then handled my own suicidal ideation. And the guilt that it carried for me and the weight that it carried for me wasn't, even though I like became a religious, pretty early on in my life, I still idea in the back of my mind that like my parent would not accept, like would be mourning me in more than one way, because they would also be mourning this idea of like, I didn't go to the afterlife that they desired. Like it's layered. But yeah, like Joelle also mentioned, I have since thought about what happens after, and I didn't used to think about that. The fact that some people, the biggest thing that I'm on right now is access to care, specifically in the perspective of therapy not being the panacea that it is brought to be, that it is important, it is vital, it is even crucial, I would say, but with how limited our access is to it, we can't just be telling people who are suicidal, oh, you need to go to therapy, because that's not the reality. That's not the answer for everybody. And so we need to be talking about it in a holistic manner of what else can we be doing? How else can we be helping? What else can we be doing socially, systematically? Obviously getting more access to therapy would be amazing. And that is still my first goal, but I want us to look at prevention more holistically and meet people where they are instead of where we think they should be.
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Is this where kids say yeet? Is this yeet? Yeet. Is that what that is?
No,
Like,
no,
No,
yeet.
not yeet. No. God, boomer. No, that's not when you.
Okay, I don't understand you either. Like,
Oh
I
my
don't get
god.
Here we go.
Yeet just means like get rid of. So like you would want to yeet suicide ideation, right? Like you'd want to yeet that. You don't want that around. Like that's what you yeet. You don't. Yeah.
Do you want to yeet
I mean,
suicide
that's a whole other discussion.
ideation? That's a future topic.
No, suicidal ideation.
Yes.
Like I wish nobody had those thoughts, right? Like I wish nobody suffered like that. Like yeah, I'd yeet that.
That's a
I would
topic.
yeet-
Suicidal ideation, to yeet or not to yeet.
You know, Bart
Anyway.
Andrews would be a great individual to bring on for the yeet discussion. Speaking of boomers.
Yeah, no, he's always like got something going on. He's hard to pin down. Okay, so before we get back into the swing, let's get to some more chat.
Were you gonna?
Yeah, I want to give.
Dismiss
You talking about the chat? Let's see how we do this. Okay, so let's first off, thank you to Michelle, who's joining late, but she is doing awesome. I appreciate all the work that you're doing.
Oh, I like her.
One of our biggest supporters. We got to have you on
One of
the
the
show.
most ardent. She was all the people that support us. She's like top 10. I always recognize her when I'm on Twitter. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, and hopefully I'm saying this right. Brown and Fuego and Brown and Fuego. Hello. Thank you for finding us. So just one of the things I wanted to mention that they say is the pivotal moment for me was a couple of years ago when I learned there's an actual field of suicidology. I'm the same way too. I didn't know about suicidology actually until I discovered SPSM chat and Doc Foreman. I didn't know that there was a whole community. I thought like suicidal people just like live in like their own little holes and there's not a whole lot of online support. And I definitely didn't think that like people can like have fun talking about suicide. So that's you came to the right place. So hopefully we didn't scare you off. Kellyanne says, oh, MSW student, hello, how you doing? Let us know if we need to sign any of your papers. And Sarah was on a tear earlier with a lot of tweets. There we go. Oh, she created a poll too. So should we yeet? What should the official SPSM chat account click on? Yes, no, or what's yeet?
God. What you don't know what yeet is, so be honest.
I know what yeet. Okay, you know what? Just because you said that, Mxiety, I'm gonna click on what's yeet.
I skewed the poll.
I'm like,
I ruined it.
Yeah, but I mean, but Sarah like had like go read
no,
the whole
that's
thing.
like a whole hour. Just that question is like at least an hour.
Yeah. So
Discussion.
go if you're not already following.
Love Sarah's thread. It's a really
Yeah, if
good
you're not already
thread.
following at Sarah Liz Tweets, she's amazing. So hopefully we can have her back on the show again. That was a fun time when we had her on a couple years ago. So, okay, so thank you to the people on the Twitter. Let's see if I can get some comments from definitely up for the challenge says definitely Mxiety. Let's make that a little smaller. So many, at least, where I never want to come forward because there is serious stigma against therapy, which is very damaging.
There's a couple further up too.
Kevix Mark says that is because people want to categorize suicide as one thing because it ends in a similar way. Up for the challenge on Twitch also says, I'd be interested to know how you all feel about those who quote unquote stopped you or saved you. Is it thankful thought or resentment in terms of knee-jerk thoughts? Does anyone have a response to that?
I was
think a little
grateful.
bit. Oh, go ahead.
Go on, Marie.
ahead,
No, that's
Marie.
it. No, that's it. That's my answer. I was when I was in the situation, I was grateful, but I also know what was going through my mind was, please somebody help me feel like there is another solution than the one that I am implementing right now. And so I was very grateful to have somebody stop me, but I don't know that that's everybody's thought process.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I haven't had somebody interrupt an attempt. There's been times when I've kind of lucked out, and I'm clearly still alive. When I was little, I definitely would have extreme thoughts of, suicidal ideation. Like, I need to die because that is the escape now. Like, that is how I escape. So I just want, I have not had somebody interrupt. I will be honest and say, like, if I feel like that is the choice that I need to do, I'm not going to tell anyone. So that's why we need a world where that's not really something that a lot of people are going to want to do. Like, suicide prevention is not just about keeping your heart beating. That's why I really very truly believe that, because from my point of view, like,
I love that.
I feel like that's what I need to do. I'm not telling anyone.
Yeah. I have not attempted. I did stop someone once, and their reaction was a whole lot of love and tears for what other side, but it was not like a tie them to the bridge thing. It was much more of a just sit there and be present thing, and then get help when you need for it.
I definitely think that though. I definitely think we have to acknowledge that not everyone is going to be thankful, and they're not wrong for thinking that either.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think whatever your experience is personally about that is not going to be wrong. I think in general, we just shouldn't try to control other people.
Maybe there'll be less suicidal ideation if we try to control people less. I don't know. Maybe. Is there a correlation? Can science tell?
Yeah. You never know. Okay, so it's starting to get late, so I wanted to make sure that we got to our little segment that I had planned, where each panelist asks another a question. So I know Marie, you wanted to ask a question. I know Joelle has a question too, and then I'll ask Hudson. So I guess that means Hudson has a. So let's go with Joelle. So we stay in the order.
Maybe asked or me ask.
Yes. What question do you have for someone, Joelle?
Okay, we're gonna have to keep this kind of short and sweet. I have a question for Marie, and I guess it's kind of like what we were just talking about, sort of. But like, can you think of times when you kind of found yourself out of alignment with your own ethics because you really just very much wanted to help someone? And if so, how did you kind of deal with that?
So
I ask this because you stream mental health stuff, and sometimes we have boundaries and lines, and it gets to be a juggling act a little bit. So I'm just interested.
Absolutely. No, that's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful question. If I don't know. There are certain boundaries for myself that I know I won't cross. Like if somebody comes in that I don't know into chat and they start talking about having suicidal thoughts and stuff, I follow my own script in my head and I will stick to that because I know that I could do more damage by giving somebody I don't know insight or advice that I think that they need when I don't know them and I don't have that connection with them. Where it gets blurrier is when people come to me that I do know that I can't just walk away from that person and be like, oh, well, this is the boundary. So I can't help you, talk to you about this after. Like if they're my friend, I'm going to talk to them and I'm going to try. I don't think I would do anything like deeply unethical, but I do think that I would have a deeper discussion with them than just somebody coming into chat, right? And I might give them guidance that I wouldn't give to somebody who's just coming into chat, and I might direct them to resources that I couldn't direct like somebody that I don't know to, and stuff like that. And step in maybe more personally, and depending on the situation, like contact someone that they know to make sure that they're okay. Like those are all things that if I did the same thing as an advocate on stream would be big red flags for other people of me overstepping boundaries. But if I do that, like if that's my friend, my goal is to help them in a way that they find most conducive, and whatever that means for them. And so that's a really, really good question. I love ethics questions in general, just because they're specific and vague at the same time. It's like, it's perfect noodling material. Thank you. Thank you.
Great question. I see your comments too on Twitch. Lust Star, who says, I think, I'm just gonna read it. Okay, so I think the way people save people from taking their own lives is vitally important to discuss. Just sitting with someone who's thinking of suicide is so valuable, yet so seldom done. I see your comments. Consent is so vital. Doing stuff without someone's consent will break their trust and make them very reticent to speak up about their suicidal thoughts again. Keep them coming, Lustar. Appreciate you. Thanks for checking us out.
Really cool.
Yes, Hudson, do you have a question for someone?
I have a question for you, Rudy.
Oh, shoot.
I actually thought about this one when you were sent the telegram that SPSM chat was back on. Smoke signals were in the sky, and I heard the drums on the horizon. How you have one of the best presences in mental health that I've seen in terms of podcasts and videos and interviews, and you have a disarming way of interviewing people that makes things very real and authentic. Having known you for as long as I have, I also know the burn is real on what it takes you mentally and energetically and all of those things. So my question for you is, how do you set up your own boundaries and your own things to make this sustainable? And then also, how can we, your community, not just the three of us, but the rest of us that support and love you, help you so that you can keep your voice out there helping people?
You know, what's funny is that for the longest time, for pretty much since like I guess sharing my story, like I thought like I was just one project away, one step away from pushing myself too far. Like I was used to always crashing, ending up hospitalized, and just like constant, just like having no direction in life. I would try something and I would fail ad infinitum. And so it really wasn't until I started becoming a mental health advocate and doing public speaking and then later live streaming where I actually found success. And I would keep pushing myself. I had one show. So now I'm going to do 2 shows or even 3, or I'm going to do in-person events at the same time. I'm also going to write. I'm going to do podcasting. I'm going to do traveling and all this stuff. And so definitely being married and having a dog and having other responsibilities has helped, because that helps like frame things as like doing all of this. As much as I love doing this, it's not the be all. I can do all these other things that are very rewarding that don't really require like breaking my back like I sometimes do with all of this tech setup and everything. Like being in a marriage and being a dog owner can be very challenging at times, but it's also something worth fighting for. It's something that I believe in and like is very, very rewarding. So I think like if I didn't get married, I would probably be like one of those people like who has like a fucking command center in their house where they have like 10 flat screen TVs and like each watching like a different channel of porn and like constantly just being like hype, like not having like any like real life and all that stuff. So it's good that it happened. But yeah, no, I still need to work on boundaries. Like just like this past couple of weeks, like since I like took over SPSM chat, I've been working a lot on building this production and like doing the graphics and all that stuff. So now that we're done with this and like I don't have to work as hard now that like the foundation is here again, I do need to take it easy. I need to spend more time with my dog, Anna Mae, who's totally being a nice puppy right below my desk, and do like just be able to just hang out and take care of myself and not feel like I have to like work on something. It feels good that I have something now. Before, like I just felt like I was just like completely wasting my time, and that in of itself can be very bad for my health. So I always find like trying to find that balance between If I'm not doing enough, like I'm depressed. But if I'm doing too much, I have anxiety. Like I'm always trying to find that balance while also trying to escape the throes of mania as well. So that happened in a long time. So we'll see. But if I have panic, you will. Does that satisfy your question? Like there was a second part to that, Hudson.
Yeah. How do we support you? Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I think just checking on me, just saying hi every now and then. I mean, I always love it. I know some people like they get weird when friends text them just to say, hey, how you doing? Like I love that. I love it when people just like just check on me and just like, hey, like what's going on with things? And just sometimes I have nothing to report, and that's totally fine. But I always appreciate it as long as it's not in like paternalistic, like, hey, I hear you haven't been posting in a couple of days on Facebook. Like, you need someone to talk to? Or it's like that last tweet like made me worry about you.
Talking about you.
I know. So yeah, I mean, just check in with each other. Like I know I need to do that with you as well, Hudson, and I need to bother Marie as well too. So I messaged Marie the other day like to remind her I made this video for her when she left. So I couldn't play it on the stream because I used Wind Beneath Your Wings with a compilation clip of like all of her greatest hits from being on the show. So.
It was epic. You just have to believe.
That was so much work. That was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
I know you did so much. As I was watching it, I was like, why did you do all this work for me? That's wild.
It was so.
Thank you.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay, so here's a question for you, Hudson. Have you thought about and a plan for the potential of one or both of your sons becoming suicidal?
Yeah, I have. I've been working, when my nephew passed in 2019, one of the things that he was really worried about and talked a whole lot about was that he was afraid that somebody would die by suicide after he left. And let me tell you, having that conversation with a 13-year-old with terminal pediatric cancer was probably some of the hardest things I've ever done, both in person and on the phone and on Xbox playing games. So I thought about it a lot, and like a lot of the stuff that I've done for my youngest son, Anders, who has autism, is work not just on how am I equipping him with the tools to have his own, function and his own, feel like he has his place, but how am I working to make him happy? How am I working to help him feel secure and go through these things? And like, my kids have been through a fucking shitload over the past few years. And so it's something that I've thought about a lot. And it's something that I really try and equip them with things like, working on getting them therapy, working with my youngest on meds management. And my God, I've finally got him stable on meds. And his anxiety has gone down, and his depression and sadness have gone down. But I also know this is a lifelong journey. And so it's something that like I've talked to them about suicide, and what I'm trying to do with them is normalize talking about it and normalize that it's okay. What they call in psychology divergent thoughts. It's okay to feel these things and to understand that, these things are, they can be temporary feelings, but like, I really try and talk to them a lot. And I try and let them know that no matter how bad things are, I'm always here. I'm always ready to talk. It doesn't matter. I mean, God, being a dad is just like the worst, best job I could possibly imagine. And like being with them through some of these things and some of like the dumb shit that they do, and having to greet them with just an open heart of love and, not always solving problems has been like some of the most growth oriented stuff I've ever done. And I worry about it with him. I know, the time that I've spent with you guys talking about Anders and the impact of autism on him and, depression and suicidal ideation and all of these things, it puts it forefront in my mind a lot. So, I've done things like funnel it, and I've tried to like not just put my energy into him, but, I've been working on a project with a foundation to do universal behavioral health screening in K through 12 in San Diego. And like, I'm trying to like, not just take what I want to do with him, but then also say, how do I continue to like help and grow that elsewhere. So, I have no idea what to do. Like going back to that very first question, I have no fucking idea what to do except to be there for him and both of them. And what I find is their moods are always inverse. While Anders is doing really well right now and happy and solid, like Walker seems like he's sad more and he's struggling some. They do these things, and it's like how to be the emotional anchor for like a complex houseplant that needs like food and chicken nuggets and like hugs but discipline and like all these things. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just trying to do it the best that I can, and honestly trying not to read too much research, but just really trying to like be there.
Yeah, one of the things I appreciate about you, Hudson, is that you're willing to go there, like, and really tackle a very challenging subject matter with your kids. Like, you talk to them about race, you talk to them about death, and it's just there needs to be parents like you. Like, I wish you were my daddy, Hudson. You are awesome.
Thank you.
I know it's hard. Like I've seen you in the midst of being dad, and I know that can be very, very stressful. Like I envy you. Like I don't think I can handle that. There's a reason why I don't have kids. So for that, and it stands as an example to other parents who may be about this. It's okay to let me ask you this bonus question, Hudson. Is there too early of an age to talk to your kids about suicide?
I mean, I would phrase that is there too early of an age to talk about death? And my answer is no. I mean, I think when they ask about it, when they talk about it, it's time. I mean, I remember the very first funeral that my son took my son Walker to. It was very quiet. The family had chosen an open casket, and 3 weeks afterwards, he called car and said, "So I have a question. I figured out that like if you and mom die, I can get brother fed and I know how to like take care of us, but I don't know how to get us to school." And like this little kid had spent 3 weeks just percolating all these plans about how to take care of his brother and how to do these things. And that was like literally the moment where I'm like, I'm just going to do about all of this. And I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to use guardrails and what I talk about, because I understand, kids can get obsessive about stuff. And when I realized that, I started talking about obsession and OCD. And I talked to, and Walker, oh my God, I think I shared this on an episode a while ago, but Walker was really deep into Zelda Breath of the Wild. Great game, by the way. And it was just nonstop for almost 2 weeks. Every question, everything, all the time, blah, blah, blah. And then he paused at one point going to bed. He's like, I need to do this. And I go, what do you mean? He's like, I can't stop my brain from thinking about it. So I have to just stop playing for a while. And like, that was one of those like, oh my God, I was so proud of those moments because he'd like taken that. So like for me, like when it comes up, when it's organic and natural, I just talk about it. Like we talk about what suicide is. We talk about what death is, all of these things. And it's so fucking hard. And it's so alone because like, especially the past year, I was at a friend's house for the first time in 16 months. And they saw me parent. And they're like, oh my God, that was great. And I started to cry because I realized nobody had seen me parent in more than a year. No one had I had no feedback on what I was doing or how it was going. So I talked to them about everything, not like they're an adult, but just like how they are as a human.
So meet them where they are. I like that.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned that there are responsible ways to talk about death and suicide. Right. Obviously, like you don't go into like the blood and guts and all that stuff. So just to be clear. Okay. So let's
so much, by the way.
we're officially in overtime, so let's get into final thoughts and then we'll just say our goodbyes. It'll be you didn't ask your question yet, Joelle?
No, she didn't get a question. I had one for her, but can you answer it quickly?
I can do like 5 minutes, probably.
Sure. I mean, Marie's the one on the East Coast, so I'm trying to be mindful of her time. So if she's up for it, then let's do it. Do it.
We can do this question and then wrap. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Quick answer. So I actually, you kind of asked me a similar question and I was racking my brain for a different question. And then I couldn't. So I'm asking you the same thing basically, but like, where is the line? Where do you let go of someone and say, okay, I can no longer help them. My role as a peer support specialist has ended here and they need to see somebody else, when you know they're in distress. And like, how do you comfortably say, I'm handing you off? Like there's a sense of maybe not control, but maybe there's a sense of responsibility. Maybe there's a sense of like, I want to make sure they're okay, right? Like all of those things. And now you have to hand them off because you know at some point, like you can only do so much. So how do you do that? And how do you handle that emotionally?
I mean, most of the situations that I've done peer support in, is not like I don't do like private peer support, so like that would be a completely different situation. But most of the situations that I've done peer support in, someone else is dictating what that point is. It's not actually me dictating it. But given that, I give people as much information as I possibly can as soon as I can. So I've worked in organizations where the clinicians will say like there's a certain point where like we have to step in, or we're saying there's like we have to establish that there is a crisis situation going on. And actually, the last place I worked at in Massachusetts, I brought that up with the clinicians that I work with, and I said, I can't do that. Like I can't be part of that. I can't call the police. Like you can't require that of me, because then I am not fulfilling my role. That's like blatantly against my ethics as a peer support specialist. Like, but what we ended up doing is like, when I start seeing somebody or like, meeting with them, I would talk to them about what does crisis look like for you? What can we do at this point, at that point? So, if X, Y, Z happens, I do need to have a conversation with my supervisor, and then my supervisor will determine that she needs to talk to the head clinician, and then the clinician makes the decision. And I've been very, very transparent about what happens.
Gotcha.
For me, I don't know that I don't know that there's really been a point in supporting somebody that I would be like, no, I'm done. Because if somebody does not want to have that power taken away from them, who am I to do that? Like this, and this is really genuinely how I feel. However, I am sometimes in systems and situations where I don't have that control over what I choose. So but I am as transparent as possible. I have been in situations where I'm supporting someone and they have definitely taken substances that were enough to kill them. And I've supported them through that. And then they've gone on to tell their parents, call an ambulance actually, and go to the hospital, all of their own volition. But for me, I don't feel like I ever want to take that power away from them. I absolutely want to support them and not be like, you need to go get help, but then let's never talk again.
Right.
So if I'm going to support them through that, I want to be clear about how much I can support them and then what's going to happen afterward. And, come up with something that's going to work, because if they're seeing this as the only option, there's got to be another option that they can literally live with. So
thank you. That's great. No, thank you.
Okay. And great question, Marie. So before we get into our final thoughts, before we get into the final thoughts, let me just give some quick last minute shout outs to our chatters, and we do appreciate you, especially on Twitch. I'm glad you found us and showing your support. So
Hamlet.
Oh, yes. Of course. We will definitely get to that. We'll get to that after you do your final thoughts, Hudson. So just lots of great comments. And thank you for finding us lame. Says, yes. And you're talking about the up for the challenges comment about, and the thing is, up for the challenge is that we've actually, SPSM chat has gotten in trouble too. We've gotten them strikes on YouTube for just having episodes about suicide, but that's kind of our whole thing. So thankfully, our YouTube channel, I think we're on like strike number 2 though. So, and one of them was my fault for like a completely different reason. But yeah, like we can't put suicide in our Twitch bio. I learned that very recently. So definitely a lot more education needs to be done to these platforms and say that yes, like it's totally valid to talk about suicide. Like we've been talking about suicide for the past hour. Like I feel like we've done a responsible job. I don't feel like we've done anything that goes against anyone's ethics or what have you.
We didn't give anybody advice. We didn't do anything. Yeah.
Yes. So, and thank you. We're fans of suicide and stuff as well. So go check them out, Des and Jess, who've been past guests on the show. So check out suicide stuff. And just thank you for all of your supportive comments, Lustar. I wanted to make sure I showed you some support while we were still live. So thank you for that. Please share with all your friends. Host us if you like what you see for future shows as well. We'll be back next Sunday, so at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Mountain time, which is where I'm at right now. And so please, I hope you'll continue hanging out with us for weeks and weeks to come. And so let's get into final thoughts. Joelle?
I mean, I guess my big thing about everything, but definitely about, suicide is voice choice agency. Like, we can't tell people they have to live for us because it makes us feel better. That's bullshit. If we're telling people like they have to live, what's the reason? Not because I want your heart beating. People need to want it for themselves, and so we need to make a world that's gonna make people want to live.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, you definitely make me feel more alive.
Oh, come on, everybody! On.
Where'd Hudson go? Hudson,
right? Hudson, you missed it. I need a whole community. Oh, thank you. Okay, Jesus, so late. All right, it doesn't count anymore. Keep going.
I felt uncomfortable because everybody had blue lights or a blue couch, and I wanted to have so now I have.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty neat, yeah.
My final thoughts. Be gentle with each other out there. Like we are coming out
chunky piggy, sorry.
The most fucked up gestalt of a country and world that we've probably ever seen cumulatively over all the shit that has happened. So be gentle out there. I know that for me, I've had some really hard times, and a couple of small acts of kindness by strangers has just meant the fucking world to me. So do something kind and tell me about it. Just be gentle and kind out there. It's the best that we can do right now. Everybody's fighting battles that we don't know. And so here's Hamlet. He a chonky chonk. And then that's him too. And then this is us at Christmas.
Oh, babies.
Yeah. He a big.
Where's
big,
my audience?
big,
I don't. Why am I the only one going on?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Thank you.
Smiling.
He is.
I was looking at the wrong screen. He's grinning. Oh my gosh, such a big.
170 pounds. He is twice the size of my children. So just for reference, for those of you playing along at the home game, that is my 9-year-old son who is 4'6" and 85 pounds.
Is he gonna keep getting bigger, or has he topped out?
No, he's gonna get much bigger, I think.
Really?
Is that a man rollerblading in the grass? Yeah,
Indeed.
no, he's gonna get. He's gonna get bigger.
His head is like 4 times the size of your head.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good thing he's such a gentle little piggy. He's still gentle piggy.
Okay. Mostly, but when you're 170 pounds, you can be a little cantankerous, and people have to allow it.
Yeah, I get that.
Yes. Well, I'm
get
so
it.
glad that we get to continue following his journey, and hopefully we'll get to meet in person. I've yet to meet Hamlet in person. Anna Mae has yet to meet Hamlet in person. I know she'll have a great time with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a
So,
good size now for them to meet.
yeah, and I'm glad that we got to reconnect, Hudson. I'm glad you're back in the fold. We hope to see you again in future episodes. Hopefully not the last one. Although I guess we would want you on the last one, but it wouldn't be because of you. How about that?
That's fair.
Final thoughts, Marie.
I love all of you. And I was actually, as I was talking to Sarah Schuster while we were doing all this on Twitter and listening to her perspective, and then just listening to everybody and our our conclusions and how far we've grown, I was thinking about the fact that being on this show is a huge reason for the shift in about suicide that I have had. Like, I'm thinking about a lot of I mean, like, obviously I've been through therapy and I've dealt with my own demons and all of that good stuff, but a lot of how I perceive suicide socially, these perspectives were given to me by you all on this team. And I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to hear, to have the opportunity to listen, to try to expand my mind to things that I don't understand, to understand them better, to hear perspectives outside of mine. So thank you so much for just giving me the opportunity to be here, even if it's for a little bit.
Well, thank you, Marie. And to be clear, like, I learned so much just from hosting this show. Like me, like I tend to just sit back most of the time and just take it all in, because I'm still like you. Like, it may come as a surprise to a lot of people, but like I still feel like I don't have a lot to say about suicide, even though I do. Like, I still get unsure of myself, and so it's been great to be part of this experience, to host and to bring on people much smarter than me, and then I can take their knowledge and apply it to my brain, and then we just get to have a good old time. And so, yeah,
I think that's the host mentality. I think that's exactly what it is. It's that I'm here to give you a platform so I can sit back and sponge in my brain all the cool things you're saying.
Yeah, and I learn a lot from you, Marie, as well, when you're doing your show on twitch.tv/Mxiety. Brum, 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 brum. And so, yeah, and no, but and then I just learned, like I said, I learned Hudson, the way he talks to his kid, the way he just talks to people, like, in general, the way he talks to his dogs. Like, I always love taking it all in, and like even with Joelle, the way she talks about peer support, the way she talks about mental health, it's just like I feel like I'm just so blessed to just be around such awesome people, because like there was a time where I just sucked. Like, but I'm better now, so I can say that. I'm not trying to be too hard on myself, but I used to suck, and so and I used to have like shitty like views of suicide. Like, I've had people who have died by suicide in my life, and it didn't I still didn't, my views weren't evolved. I still thought, like, even when I was young, I was raised Catholic. I thought that it was a sin. There was like, and I've been suicidal my entire life, and that was one of the things as a kid. Reason why I didn't take my life is because I didn't want to go to hell. So I'm just constantly evolving, and like there's things that I've probably said, like in like the first episode that we did a couple of years ago, that I would cringe at. And so
for sure, like I would do the same.
If anyone can take things away from today's episode about evolving, and that's what we should be doing, is always evolving, never be complacent, is that it's okay to acknowledge that there were days that we said shitty things, or things that were not as informed, things that may be considered ignorant in our 2020 point of view. And so we have to just own up to it, and just but move on from there. That doesn't mean that like we get canceled off the face of the planet, or that like we have to hide our heads in shame forever, but we do have to acknowledge these things, and we have to keep moving forward and lifting each other up. Okay. That's what I love. One of the things I love about Joelle too is that she's more than willing to correct me on things if I say something that is not the most
willing.
No problem at all. And so before like I completely spin out of control, I just want to again thank you to Joelle Marie. Thank you to Hudson Harris. Thank you to Marie Shanley, AKA Mxiety. Go show all these people all the love across all of the social media platforms. And we hope to see you again next Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Our website is spsmchat.com, and I will be much better about updating it regularly so you can see past episodes. But you can also go to youtube.com/spsmchat. That's probably the easiest way to see all past episodes. And then you can do the rewind and fast forward and what have you and all that good stuff. Facebook.com/spsmchat. Twitter.com/SPSMchat. We are, of course, at SPSMchat, and Twitch.tv/SPSMchat. We are active throughout the week as well, so feel free to still use that hashtag. Feel free to continue tweeting at us and just being a part of our little community that we are going to make mightier than ever. So I'm Rudy Caseres. I'm your host. I'll be back next week with a new panel, but I'm sure you'll see these three people in some configuration at some point in the future. I'm sure Joelle will be here next week,
Yeah.
but as for Hudson and Marie, I'm glad that we haven't scared you off, and I hope to continue
So you gotta come back.
being a part of your journey like you have continued to be a part of mine. So thank you.
Thank you, Rudy.
Hudson Harris, sign us off.
Keep your piggies close and your friends closer. Be kind and gentle out there.